Hey there, Jason the Middle-Aged Gear Junkie here with you on this really scorching hot January day in Australia. I want to talk about 3 types of effects today that are very unspectacular but could be the missing ingredient for your guitar tone. The first effect I want to look at today is a treble booster. Now I know what you're thinking. Why the f would I want to boost the treble on my guitar signal? Let me explain. The name treble booster is actually misleading because the treble booster actually boosts the upper mid frequencies of your guitar, and that makes your guitar tone more harmonically rich, and it also helps to bring out the percussiveness and the pick attack from your rhythm hand. Now I'm going to play a few examples, and I'm going to be using the Boost and Buff by MI Audio. I've got it set to treble boost mode, and I'm going to play an example with the treble boost off, and then I'm going to play that same example with the treble boost on. So this pedal that I'm using is an earlier version of the Boost and Buff by MI Audio, and crucially it has both a gain and a volume knob, and what it allows me to do is I can crank the gain a little bit, and that helps to distort those upper mid frequencies more than the rest of my guitar tone, and that makes those notes really sort of stand out. If you're a metal guy and you're doing a lot of picking, something like this can really bring that out in your tone without having to crank the treble on your amplifier. The next pedal I want to look at is a compressor pedal. And typically speaking, what a compressor does is it brings up the lowest volume part of your sound and brings down the highest volume part of your sound to make your volume more even. Your sound guy will love you for using a compressor. If you're playing styles like funk or ska or reggae and there's a lot of percussive strumming involved, having a compressor is going to really make that stand out a lot more. Now what I've done for these examples is I've recorded them onto a looper. I've played them without compression. You're going to hear it without compression, and then you'll hear it again, and I'll click the compressor on, and you can hear the difference it makes to the sound. One of the other uses for a compressor is to create more sustain. Now, if you're using a clean sound or a light overdrive, you're not going to have a hell of a lot of sustain. But by putting a compressor in front of your clean sound or in front of your overdrive, you can create more sustain. Even when picking fairly softly, you can hold notes for longer, and it is a really useful tool. last pedal I want to talk about is highly underrated, very unspectacular, but crucially important to shaping your guitar sound, and that is an EQ pedal. Now, there are so many different ways to use an EQ pedal. I actually had to write a few of them down so I wouldn't forget. So first up, I was watching an episode of Rig Rundown, and they explained that Slash actually uses an EQ pedal as a buffer. Now, if you don't know what a buffer is, the more cable that you use, the more pedals that you use, you start to lose top end in your sound. A buffer replaces that top end. So he uses an EQ pedal to replace the top end lost from his cable runs. Secondly, earlier we looked at a treble booster. If you have an EQ pedal lying around, you could use it as a treble booster. Possibly one of the most important uses for an EQ pedal though is fixing problem frequencies. So if your guitar is a bit muddy in the low end, you can EQ some of that out. If it's missing some high end, you can EQ some of that in, or vice versa. I have an example here to show you where I'm using my Telecaster. I'm playing through my double drive, and on the bridge pickup it sounds fantastic. When I switch to the neck pickup, however, it's very, very muddy. It's got a little bit too much low mids, and it's fairly undefined in the top end. And I'm going to use an EQ pedal to fix that up. Other uses for an EQ pedal, you can use it as a solo boost. Tom Morello just does that. Just turn up the volume, leave everything else flat. You can shape that boost as well. For example, if you wanted a mid-style boost, you could just boost the mid frequencies, whack that on in front of your overdrive, and you've got a second overdrive or distortion. So one of the things you can use these live for is for changing between guitars. Now, different guitars have different outputs. So for example, my Stratocaster has the lowest output of all my other guitars. So I might want to boost that up a little bit. Okay, my bridge pickup on that same guitar is way brighter than any other pickup of my other guitars. So I might be able to take off some of the top end as well. And then when I put on my Strat, I click on that, and hopefully it should be roughly the same volume and have a similar frequency response to my other guitars. And lastly, you can use one of these as a completely separate channel. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to remove all of these frequencies. Now that is going to do a couple of things. It's going to make the sound a bit more dull, and it's going to take out a fair bit of the volume and output from my guitar. And I'm going to have this going into my Zen drive. Now when this pedal is on, it's going to be a very tame version of my Zen drive. And the good thing about that is that if I'm playing a verse section for a song, I whack that on, my distortion is pulled right back, my guitar sound is quite tame. Then for the chorus, whack that on, and all of a sudden you hear the Zen drive in all its glory. And then when I want to bring it back again, it's kind of like rolling off the volume on your guitar, except it's more instant. So there it is. Hopefully you learned something today. If you have any of these pedals lying around, plug them in, play with them, see what you can do with them. If there's any other types of pedals that you think are really underrated, please let me know in the comments. have a bit of debate. Tell me how you use some of this equipment. If there's other ways I didn't think of using them, please let me know in the comments how you use a compressor or how you use an EQ or a treble booster or any other type of booster for that matter. Lastly, I want to thank everybody for watching, liking, subscribing to my channel. It means a lot to me. Thank you so much. And remind you that you can join the Middle Aged Gear Junkie community on Facebook. Look us up. Send me a request. I'll let you in. And we can hang out and talk about guitars and share photos. It's a lot of fun. Thank you so much. And also, if you want your favorite guitar player on the wall behind me, the wall of Guitar Gods, remember to go on the Guitar Gods video and vote for your favorite player. Until next time, thank you. Wherever you are in the world, have a great day. I'm Jason. See you later.